Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round 9 of the Pro Street Stock Series, sponsored by East Action Sports. Today, our competitors are going to find themselves making right turns for the first time this season as we are at the virtual Daytona International Speedway, running the regular old road course. None of that NASCAR shenanigans with the needless chicanes thrown in the mix. It's going to be a good one. These competitors have no fast repair, 3 sets of tires. As always, on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, I'm James East in the booth, bringing the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, as we get ready to send them out. But first, let's check out tonight's grid. Starting on pole, Austin Edwards, the number 98. Alex Krasper starting second. Luke Turkin starting third. Ben Dover, yes, that's his name, starting fourth. Matt Baer starting fifth. Radburn Shutters will be starting sixth. Kai Demarest starting seventh. Tyler McRae starting 8th tonight. Stephen Rex starting 9th. We've got Kenny Tripp starting 10th. Spencer Breslin starting 11th. Tyler Evans starting 12th. Cycle back a little bit further where we've got Michael Vandermeed starting 13th. Jacob Feskinen starting 14th. James SoundCloud Silvers starting 15th. Mark Proctor starting 16th. And world famous Andrew Neri will be starting 17th to round out our grid of competitors. This is going to be a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what the pros can do on the old road course for the first time this season. We're still waiting for Stephen Rex and Kenny Tripp to make their way onto the grid before we roll that iRacing safety car. A lot of teams putting in a few ringers this season in this race. A few of the team owners and drivers themselves opting to put in a couple of road race ringers here today. As it is going to be Edwards and Krapser on the front row here as we make it through the bus stop of 9, 10, and 11. Go around the long back section of racetrack here in Daytona through NASCAR turns 3 and 4. And as a reminder, these drivers are going to have to start when the green flag drops. Radburn Shutters has problems. He goes back to pit lane in number 42 machine, having some sort of issue already. But let's see who can get through turn 1. A lot of guys without a ton of road race experience still out here chasing that big payoff at the end of the season, trying to score their both individual points as well as team points. And let's see and let's hope that all the newcomers have read the rule book on when the starting order is supposed to happen. Again, they've got to wait for the green light to go. And just like that, we're underway for round 9 at Daytona Road Course. It's going to be Edwards and Krapser going in deep into turn 1. Edwards sends it in. Looks like for the most part the field's going to get through nice and tidy. As man, oh man, what a packed field of drivers here at Daytona. It's still Edwards leading the charge into turn 1. Luke Turpin has moved up into second. Demarest involved in an incident. Neri, Proctor, all involved. We're going to try and get a quick look at that one and see what may have happened. Let's see what happens as we're watching Demarest in the 355. Goes in a little bit deep, might have gotten tagged by the 99. And the rest of the field absolutely scatters. Everybody else got through nice and relatively unscathed. Proctor takes a little bit of damage there, bumping into Demarest. As the current running order is Edwards, Turpin, Krapser, Dover, Baer, your top 5 here. Evans also involved in a big incident. We'll take another quick look. I think our replay button's going to get worn out here today. We're going to take a look and see what happens to Evans in the 553. Just pushes the front and plows it off track. But man, the 553 looking pretty battle worn. Let's watch as Edwards, Turpin, and Krapser dive through the bus stop here in Daytona. These top 3 drivers starting to get a bit of a gap over 4th place Dover. Then you have to go about a second back to Matt Baer, who's making up our top 5 here today. 35 laps around the road course Edwards getting a pretty comfortable lead now, about 0.6 of a second over Turpin and Crapser are still glued together. But let's watch as he absolutely hucks it in the number 98 machine. Again, Edwards is a fill-in driver for Brett Edgar, team owner of Devil Core, coming out for the first time here today to try and win some points on the road course. %40 fuel allotment for these drivers, and 3 sets of tires await them in pit lane if need be. I'm going to go on a limb here and say every time they do come in that they are going to take tires, especially in a race with no cautions and no stage breaks. These guys will be going 100% for the duration of the event. We're going to cycle a little bit further back in the field, check on Kenny Tripp in the 116. Tripp is up 4 spots tonight, starting in 10th, has worked his way up to 6th early on. As again, he is one of those drivers without a ton of road racing experience. Matt Baer, the number 19, had some sort of incident, and he's going to rejoin the racetrack on the backstretch here of Daytona. Now in 6th place, allowing Tripp to move up 1 more spot in the 116. Now we had somebody ask, do we have any ringers here today? I'm going to answer that in a second, but I believe there was another incident, possibly with Silvers involved, the number 21 machine. Let's see what happens. Oh, gets into the back of Vandermeet very hard, and then gets tagged once more. The 2 teammates go careening around. So, oh, Breslin gets creamed. The number 8 machine of Neri gets absolutely destroyed. Silver's missing a wheel. Breslin has to return to pit lane. And Steven Rex just took a wild ride. That was Rex going careening around in turn 1. Everybody's having problems here at Daytona. Now to get back to my original train of thought, we had somebody ask, do we have any ringers here before? Yes is the answer. There's a lot of them. Austin Edwards, a fill-in driver. Luke Turpin, a fill-in. Alex Crapser, Ben Dover. You've got Kai Demarest out there for the first time this season. So several teams fielding new drivers. Up front, it's still Austin Edwards. He's got about an 0.8 of a second over Luke Turpin and about 1.3 seconds over 3rd place Alex Crapser. And the boys are dropping like flies here today at Daytona, as we only have 12 of the 17 that started on the lead lap. Right now you've got Silvers, Neri, Breslin, and Evans in pit lane trying to get some repairs done. Going to be interesting to talk to the drivers after this and see what they prefer or maybe don't prefer more. A lot of the guys were very unhappy having to run at Bristol Dirt earlier this season, and now at the road course they're having a bit of a worries. Let's see, Demarest may be involved in an incident as well in the 355 machine. Let's see what happens going into the bus stop. Demarest with all sorts of damage on the front of that machine and just gets a little bit tail end loose and sends it sliding around the bus stop. Luckily, no other drivers involved in that incident. It's going to allow Feskinen to pick up another spot. We are 4 laps in, and the top 4 drivers of Edwards, Turpin, Crapser, Dover staying pretty close together out here. Less than a second and a half separating the top 4. Demarest has another incident. He goes back to pit lane early. Didn't report that his Demarest in the 355 has blown his engine, so he'll be going back to the hauler early here today. Unable to pick up his first pro points, unfortunately. Looks like Shutters, the number 42 machine, did make it back out on track. Vandermeed has an incident. Looks like coming out of turn 1, that's going to allow his team owner Feskinen to come by. I'll take a quick look. No, that was not turn 1. My apologies. That was going into 7, I believe. Just a little bit too much brake or possibly downshift. These street stock machines, they are not well polished racecraft. They're big, they're heavy, the weight transfer is awful. Still Edwards out front. And then a very close conga line from 2nd to 4th as Turpin leaves Crapser and Dover through turn 1. Still trying to catch back up to Edwards, putting everything he can down in the 06 machine. Still 30 laps remaining. It'll be very interesting to see what the pit strategy is going to be for these drivers. Shutters having more problems. I think he's got bad internet issues. Yes, Shutters is having issues. He has left the racetrack once more. We have whittled it down to 11 drivers on the lead lap. Neri in the number 8 machine has returned back onto the circuit after being in his pit stall for about almost 4 minutes, trying to hammer that number 8 machine back in a square shape. Looks like our top 4 stand pretty consistent. The only people that have swapped spots is Turpin and Crapser. Turpin started off 3rd and moved his way up to 2nd after getting by Crapser, the number 16 machine, early in tonight's race. So I believe it is going to be Demarest that is out, Silvers, Breslin, and Evans all in pit lane for a long time. I believe that's pretty much all of the East Action sports cars that were fielded tonight are going back to repairs early. As now Crapser, the number 16 machine, working hard on Luke Turpin, trying to get up there. Ooh, may have missed the shift there. That's going to slow him down on the backstretch. And gives the throttle a bit of a burp going into the bus stop, trying to keep it settled. Turpin has a bit of a moment, gets a little bit squirrely. That's going to kill his drive coming out of the bus stop. As here comes Crapser, and the number 16 machine's going to blast around him to take over 2nd. Here comes Dover as well, and the number 17 machine shows just how important the momentum is here at Daytona. They're going to go side by side through NASCAR 3 and 4. Dover's going to pick up the spot for how long, though, as they dive into turn 1. Dover and Crapser side by side. Turpin's got the inside line. He's going to make it stick. Now he's going to try and catch back up to Crapser. That one moment in the bus stop cost him the position and almost cost him two, as Dover had a very hard charge through the NASCAR banking. Really impressed with some of these fill-in drivers tonight. They are absolutely hauling. We had somebody else ask if the East Action Sports cars made it back out on track. I don't believe they did, as Demarest, Breslin, and Evans are all in pit lane with substantial repairs. I believe they will be out. Shutters is also out of the race. Silvers is in the pit lane for quite a long time. And Rex is having problems with the number 28 machine in the horseshoe. I believe that's coming out of turn 4. He had the issues. As Vandermeet has issues as well. Now he's going to face pressure for Proctor for the battle for 10th. Right now Vandermeet is up 3 spots from where he started. Proctor is up 5 spots from where he started. So great racing all across the track here today. And look at that. Tyler Evans is going to try and limp it back out onto the racetrack in the 553 machine after being in his box for 12.5 minutes. And let's see what this battle for 10th may shape up as Proctor and Vandermeet have both had rough nights early on. And I believe Proctor has just sent it. He did. He had problems going into the horseshoe, so that's going to allow Vandermeet to get away uncontested. We're going to go back up front to the action. Right now on screen, Alec Crapser in the number 16 machine. He's about 2.8 seconds back from Edwards, your race leader, and about a second ahead of Luke Turpin in the 06. Other notable races on the track right now. You've got Jacob Feskin, number 926. He's up 7 spots. He's about 1.25 seconds ahead of another team owner. Feskin, the owner of Lodo Racing, is being chased by McRae with Droppin' Bombs Racing. Now, from my understanding, I haven't confirmed this with either of these drivers, I'm pretty sure they're both not super familiar out on the road courses. We talked to McRae, and we did confirm that he's not super comfortable out on track here today. We did not have the opportunity to talk to Feskinen before tonight's broadcast to get his opinion. But these guys are out there trying to salvage some points. And again, each team for the individual points chase has one drop week, or I believe, I need to check the rules. I think it might be 2 drop weeks. So some guys fully planning on using that drop week tonight here at Daytona, and other guys who have had rough races early on this season know every race counts at this point. We got a report from Mark Proctor's camp that he may be having radiator problems in the number 36 machine. We'll keep an eye out to see if he comes down pit lane. Evans has issues as well in the 553. Let's take a quick look and see what happened. I'm guessing that rear end's going to come yeeting around, and just like that, it does out of the horseshoe. So it looks like Neri's back on track. Demarest is out. Evans is back on track, but struggling and really not enjoying tonight. Breslin has got back out on track in the 53 machine, as well as Silver's the number 21. So all the guys that were able to get back out on track have done so. As the battle for podium contention still waking up as Turpin is trying to catch down Krapser. And this is going to be the battle for second on screen as they go screaming around the embankment, trying to stretch the speeds out as much as they possibly can, hitting speeds of excess of 156 miles an hour here at Daytona, and not even having the full circuit to get up to speed. Now, these guys have run several mile-and-a-halfers this season. That kind of feels like a super speedway in these street stock machines. But Austin Edwards in the number 98 has found something he is happy with as he is making it go fast. Krapser has a bit of internet problems. The number 16 machine will have to keep an eye on that as Turpin is almost within striking distance here. Now, a lot of these guys run other street stock events throughout the week getting ready for the Pro Series every Thursday night, so they're very familiar with who they can battle hard with and who they can push a little bit aggressively, and then also who they can work with to try and get a draft package going on and maybe try and catch up to Edwards out front. As Turpin still hanging out about 0.4 of a second behind Krapser. Breslin has problems, goes off track, able to collect himself. As the temperatures come down, the pace will get a little bit faster. Going to be intrigued to see how that balances out with the tire wear these guys are facing. They've gone 25 laps. The top 11 drivers still on their original set of tires, not having come down pit road yet. But how long are they going to be able to stretch it out with 25 laps left to go? As it looks like the battle for second is pretty much the hottest thing going on track right now. Turpin is keeping Krapser just within his sights, but not quite able to get in striking distance. I'm curious to see how these guys have set up for tonight. As, oh no, we've got another incident. I think Proctor, let's see what happened to him in the number 36 machine. I believe that was in the bus stop. Is he in the bus stop or one? No, I was going through into the bus stop. Ooh! Tokyo drifts it, sends it careening around. But no harm, no foul. Look at this, man. Krapser able to really stretch his legs on the tri-oval here, as he gets to about a half-second advantage over Turpin. But Turpin seems to maybe be set up more for the road course here. Not sure if maybe Turpin doesn't have the same gearing as Krapser, or what may be the difference between these two machines. Again, this is an open setup league, So a lot of the guys spend all week putting together some setups to get everybody out here as fast as they possibly can. Again, they run every Thursday night for the Pro Series. On Wednesday night, we have a open practice for everyone that's in the Team Goon Squad Discord that wants to come out, work on setups, and maybe ask some of the fast guys for advice. Trip in the 116. He's going to come down pit lane for his one stop of the night. Actually, you know, I don't know. It might be a two-stop night. It's kind of hard to guess what these guys are going to do. Who's going to value those fresh tires more so than a track position? That's going to allow Feskinen and McRae to pick up a couple more spots, moving Feskinen to 6th, McRae to 7th. Vandermeer, the number 84 machine, is also going to dive down pit road. Now, these street stock machines, painfully long pit stops as far as fueling goes. You could probably do all your sets of tires twice, if not 3 times, by the time you fill up the gas tank in these machines. iRacing simulates it as if your favorite cousin's out there filling it up with a 5-gallon gas jug. Your race leader, Austin Edwards, also going to come down pit lane. Are we going to see Crapser, Turpin, Dover? I believe they all are going to come in and box as well. So these guys have been able to stretch it out to just under 12 laps on a tank. Maybe plan on making a 2-stop race here today. So now it's Edwards, Crapser, Turpin, Dover, Baer, the top 5 all in the pit lane. We'll see if anybody gets speeding penalties here, as these street stock machines, the brakes are absolutely atrocious on these machines. You can pretty much stand on the brakes and come slowly to a stop. But the biggest kicker for these racers is having the downshifts timed properly is probably the toughest part. Because if you do not rev match just ever so perfectly, you can step around the back end and send you careening through the racetrack. As we talked about the long pit stops, Edwards has been in his stall for 45 seconds in the number 98 machine, getting fueled back up. And he's going to be out in 57.45 seconds. That's going to tighten up the lead he has ever so slightly. But let's see if anybody has problems going through the chute at Daytona. As someone who's raced here before, granted on motorcycles, it feels shockingly tight leaving the pit road. As I believe that was Turpin that tagged the cone there. Excuse me. Looks like everyone able to navigate traffic nice and clean. Now this is where you could see the fastest laps of the night, ladies and gentlemen. The drivers are coming out with fresh tires. The track temp is cooled ever so slightly. With the sun going down here at Daytona, the lights will come on. Hopefully the infield has enough lighting for these drivers, as there are no headlights on the street stock machines. McRae and Rex finishing up their pit cycle of the night. That will allow Vandermeer to move up to 10th, trying to salvage some points. Now it is the top 15 drivers that will score points here today. So that puts Breslin and the number 53 machine on the bubble trying to score some points. Now that being said, that is for individual points. All the drivers in top 15 will score individual points that are tied to their car number throughout the season. But there's also the team points race in play as well. And for the team points, we count the top 2 finishing drivers for each team towards the chase. Now coming into tonight, it was Dropping Bombs racing out front with the most points, 254 points. Devil Core has 213, Lodo 195, then East Action Sports with 104. You've also got Hayward Racing with 54 points, Perkins Motorsports with 43, and Fastlane Motorsports with 10 points coming into tonight's race. So a lot of different teams being represented here. And again, all these drivers chasing that team payout at the end of the season. Right now, it is a $200 purse for the team chase. It's going to be split among the top 5 teams. So some drivers are going to be able to win a little bit of money here. As look at the sun rapidly going down with 22 laps left to go. And look at that, big problems for the 06 machine of Turpin. And he's going to lose a whole lot of time behind Crapster number 16. Edwards, your race leader, using the draft of Proctor, the number 36 machine, who is now 1 lap down. And man, Edwards absolutely sending it into turn 1. Edwards last time by a 2:06, but it was a dirty lap with at least 1 off track. So that will invalidate his fastest lap of the race. Current fastest lap of the race is Crapster, the number 16 machine, running second. Clicked off, and no, I take that back. It's actually Turpin in the 06. Clicked off a 1:59.61. He is just a little bit faster than Crapster with a 1:59.88 and Dover with a 1:59.91. Tripp having another off-track excursion in the 116 machine. He still has about a 7-second advantage to Jacob Feskin in the number 926. Tripp is running 6th, Feskin is running 7th. As now Tripp is going to try and catch up to, I believe that's going to be Breslin, number 53 machine. Excuse me. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm recovering from the COVID, and I do my best to hit that push to mute whenever I feel a cough coming. But sometimes I just don't click it fast enough. Tripp hanging out the back end of the 116 machine, able to hold on to it. He's got lap traffic ahead of him that he's going to be able to use the draft and maybe squeeze some more time out of that 116, the Hayward Racing backed race car. We've got Jeff Edgar joining us tonight, team owner of the number 17. He's got Dover in the car right now, and Dover's currently running 4th in his pro debut, about 4 seconds behind Turpin. 20 laps left to go for these competitors. Most of the drivers came in on around a lap 11 or 12. So we're expecting them to come in on once more about the lap 24 mark if they keep up their current strategy. And it is starting to get dark for our drivers, as we're going to take you on board with the race leader, Austin Edwards, the number 98 machine. And you can see what he sees here at Daytona as he's going to go blasting down the back section of the NASCAR track. And then we're going to watch what the pro does into the bus stop. And that's your race leader, Austin Edwards, the fill-in driver for Brett Edgar's Devil Core Racing. Absolutely abusing the tires here at Daytona, but showing us the fast way around the racetrack. He's going to enjoy a little bit of a mental breather through NASCAR 3 and 4 and cross the start-finish line. Edwards clicks off his fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 59.9. The tires are really starting to come in here. The fuel load is starting to drop, and most importantly, the track will be cooling off ever so slightly. Nary, the number 8 machine, is going to come into pit lane once more. We've got Kenny Jin joining us tonight, making a good point. It looks a whole lot faster from the first-person view, and let me tell you, as someone who's a big fan of getting on the track when I can, the outside cameras really don't do it much justice of what these guys are having to wheel around here at Daytona. They're hitting trap speeds close to 160 miles an hour around the faster sections of racetrack, especially when they are in a draft. And while these lap times aren't necessarily quick by race standards, clicking off about 2 minute flats, it's still a handful. I want to say when we were at Daytona, we were doing mid 150s on sport bikes. We're going to check in on Luke Crapser running second place on track. He's about 2.9 seconds back from your race leader, Austin Edwards, and about 3.6 seconds ahead of Turpin in the 06 machine. As the lights are fully lit here at Daytona, it's going to be interesting to see what the drivers are thinking. Who's having fun? Who's struggling out on track? And another good point from one of our viewers, driver attrition. How worn out are these guys getting wheeling around here at Daytona? We kind of joke and compare it to not being as hardcore as real-life racing, but let me tell you, at the end of one of these, you'll be sweating after wrestling the wheel for over an hour. And we're about to have a battle for 6th place. Jacob Feskin in the 926, putting the pressure on Tripp. He's going to get him going into turn 1. Gets a little bit unsorted. Is Tripp going to be able to answer here in the 116? As boy, is it dark for these drivers. Oh, Tripp might have gotten to the back of Feskin in there. Gets off the gas to avoid making it worse, so well done having the know-how not to try and finish off the 926. Nothing but respect and camaraderie here amongst the pro drivers. Now, no cautions here for the Pro Series for the road course. Road course has a slightly modified rule set compared to the regular oval shenanigans we do week in and week out. So the only reason we really have a caution come out on the road course is there's a huge pileup that involves the majority of the field, or the track is blocked and impassable. So with how spread out the field is at this point, it is extremely unlikely you'll see one of those large pileups. Right now, the closest gap is between Feskinen and Tripp in that battle for 6th, and that's separated by about 0.4 of a second as Tripp is doing everything in his power to stay in the draft of Feskinen's 926 machine. Gets a big drive. And now Tripp may challenge Feskinen into turn 1, thinks better of it. Oh, and sends it sliding around, Tokyo Drift style, able to hold on to it. But Feskinen's got to be looking in his rearview mirror saying, oh boy, if he makes any sort of mistake, I am in big trouble here. Expecting our drivers to pit in the next 5-6 laps for their final scheduled stop of the night. And tonight, these guys are going to be focusing on putting down the fastest laps they possibly can over fuel conservation. Now, compared to a stock street stock machine, these guys are running with smaller gas tank, only 40% of the full tank allotment that can be used. So I think the most important thing for these drivers is just going to hammer down as long as they can. They really can't fuel save to try and change their strategy that much. And that is going to put Tripp about 0.6 of a second back from Feskinen. We've seen him make big strides on the tri-oval, maybe running some taller gear sets than Feskinen. It's a fine line to see how you're going to set your car up for. Do you want to be fastest through the infield section of the racetrack, or do you want to try and squeeze out a little bit more top speed around the NASCAR portion of the track, as these guys are going to flick it through the bus stop? But it looks like Feskinen was able to gain about 0.3 there over Tripp, carrying just a little bit more speed. And that momentum is so huge here at Daytona. Up front, it's still Edwards, Krapser, Turpin, Dover, Baer, your top 5. And they've got a country mile gap over 6th and 7th place, Feskinen and Tripp, who are in a battle of their own. Again, the next few laps, we're expecting these drivers to come in one final time to fill up their machines. As we're going to check in on our race leader, Austin Edwards. He's got about a 4.5 second advantage over Krapser in the second place, number 16 machine. As always, thank you so much to our online friends and family that tune in week and week out supporting the Team Goon Squad broadcast. It is absolutely great to be back in the booth here today, calling the action for the Pro Series. A lot of talented drivers make their way out every week chasing that money. As we're going to once again cycle back to Tripp, who is caught up to Feskinen once more in the battle for 6th. Now Feskinen is up 8 spots today, moving his way into 6th. Tripp up 3 spots into 10th from where he originally started. But let's see what happens here in the bus stop as Feskinen's be able to carry some really good speed through here. But it looks like Tripp is set up for a bit of a faster top speed machine. Especially having the draft of Feskinen right in front of him as he's going to start pulling up. I expect them to be bumper to bumper, if not side by side, by the time they get to the start-finish line straight. 15 laps left to go. Great racing still going on all across the track here. Now, it doesn't look like Tripp has any intent of really challenging Feskinen into turn 1. Not quite getting comfortable in the 116 machine on the tighter stuff. He got it down to about 1/10 of a second, separating himself between Tripp and Feskinen. But as we go back into the infield section, the road course of the racetrack, that allows Feskinen to extend that lead back to about a second. So I'm not sure if it's a setup thing we're seeing going on between Feskinen being faster on the road course, or maybe just a comfort between Feskinen and Tripp once they get on the right-hand circuit. Check on Dover, the number 17 machine. Started 4th after qualifying, currently 4th. And he's kind of in no man's land here. He's got about a 15-second disadvantage to 3rd place Turpin. And he's about 16 seconds ahead of Baer in 5th. Now, interestingly enough, your top 3 of Edwards, Crapser, Turpin, all fill-in drivers for their different teams, making their pro debut and trying to score some points by providing professional ringer services. We are on lap 22 for the drivers. We're expecting them to come in the next 1 or 2 laps for that final pit stop in these street stock machines. Now, what makes the Pro Series so fun, in my point of view, is we've got a bunch of very talented drivers driving machines that aren't really the best race cars on the service. They're big, heavy, slow compared to a modern NASCAR or any of the actual purpose-built road cars. But these guys come out here every week and chasing a little bit of beer money and having a good time among friends is what it's all about. This is season 1 that runs every Thursday night. Already looking forward to the schedule that's being formed up for season 2, as well as possibly a couple of new things coming to the Team Goon Squad racing roster. Eight drivers still on the lead lap as Edwards is charging hard. Still has about a 4-second advantage over Crapser in second. He has been extremely consistent tonight, making the fewest mistakes out of the top 5. And that is what's going to win championships for these guys, is consistency week in and week out, scoring the most points possible from week in and week out, not trying to make any mistakes, not trying to have any issues. Edwards making his way around traffic. That was Breslin, the number 53 machine, who is unfortunately a whole lot of laps down, 9 laps down, but he is most importantly in a points-paying position. So we talked about Evans and Breslin earlier, the two East Action Sports drivers that had a very rough start to tonight's event, going back out there and scoring some major points. Now I'm curious to see, are we going to see Turpin whittle away at that 2-second disadvantage that he has to Crapser? But he's got to be happy in his pro debut, still coming out strong, running in podium contention. With a relatively clean race car in the 06 machine. I mean, a lot of guys tonight can't say the same. Some guys are really struggling using tonight as a throwaway drop week. As Turpin is doing everything in his ability to try and catch up to Crapser, who is running second as he makes his way through turn 1. Now we are expecting the guys to start their final pit cycle here shortly, as we see Tripp and Feskinen both come down pit lane. Are we going to see your race leader Edwards come in this time by? And yes, he does. Edwards is going to come in. Crapser is going to come in. Turpin. Are we going to see Dover do the same as he makes his way through the bus stop? And yes, we're also going to see Dover come in. Matt Baer, number 19 machine, is also going to drive into pit lane. Check in on Steven Rex, number 28 machine, as he makes his way around turn 1. Rex wasn't having a whole lot of fun earlier in tonight, but he seems to get himself worked into a groove, clicking off laps, making it happen. And now suddenly he's going to find himself battling with Feskinen and Tripp, who have come out of pit lane. Now both of those competitors are coming out with fresh tires on their race machines. So now it is going to be Crapser is winning the race currently. After that pit cycle, he was in and out about 4 seconds faster than Edwards, but Edwards is not going to let him go uncontested. And now we've got a battle for the lead as Edwards is right on the rear bumper of Crapser, the number 16 machine. About 5 seconds back is Turpin, who does not have the draft support as your race leaders, so he will not be quite as quick. As both drivers flicking into the bus stop, only 11 laps left to go here. And that is what 4/10 of a second looks like, ladies and gentlemen, between your race leader, Crapser, and Edwards running second. The draft playing such a major role here at Daytona as they go blasting out of turn 4, getting ready to dive into turn 1. Turpin comes into pit lane. Not quite sure what happened to Turpin, if maybe he had some sort of penalty or what may have happened. That is going to allow Dover to move up into a podium spot. What happened to Turpin? Is it a speeding penalty? What? As things are getting shaken up with 10 laps left to go, now it is Crapser, Edwards, Dover, Baer, Turpin making up your top 5. It must have been a speeding violation or something of the sort. That's the only reason I can think of Turpin having to come in. I'm almost positive he came in a lap 24 with the rest of his competition and had to come back in. We'll try and get a word from race control to see if they may know what happened. And look at that, your race leaders putting on a show, running nose to tail, bump drafting around the high banks of Daytona. Could not put a piece of paper between those two machines. Let's see who's going to send it into turn 1. Edwards looks to the outside line. Ooh, Crasper gets a little bit in the grass there. Not sure if that was on purpose to try and rotate the number 16 machine a little bit better, but that allowed Edwards to put down the fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 59.56. Absolutely hauling the mail. Now Crapser was getting pushed in that one, not much slower. He clicked off a 1 minute 59.67. So a tenth of a second separating your race leaders at the line as they got into position for their favorite entry into turn 1. Nine laps left to go for our competitors. It's still Crapser out front, Edwards second. Less than 0.2 of a second separating our race leaders here. Our race leaders almost had problems as there was someone parked in the bus stop. These guys were able to get through it nice and clean, but that has allowed Crapser to extend the gap just ever so slightly to 0.4 of a second. As you watch McRae, the number 99, also yield the preferred racing line to the race leaders. These guys are coming by and they're doing so quick. Edwards is going to have a big run using all sorts of draft to get a major run on the race leader, crossing the start-finish line. It is 8 laps left to go. And after an hour of racing so far, these guys are still separated by about a car and a half length, wicking it through the infield here at Daytona. Through the International Horseshoe. Edwards is staying glued to the rear bumper of the number 16 of Crapser, not giving him any chance to breathe here. Now, if I was a betting man, I think he's going to follow behind Crapser until the very end to try and make a pass, maybe using the draft to his advantage. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, this is the battle for first between Crapser and Edwards. They've got about a 38-second advantage over Dover, who is in third. And who's going to get the best run out of the bus stop? And are we going to see Edwards do anything with it yet? Or is he going to be content following Crapser, not wanting to show his cars too early? He's got the speed. I just don't think he wants to show his hand too early. He who leads on the last lap in big trouble, as Confucius always say. Spoiler alert, I don't know if he actually said that, but boy, does it sound good. So let's see if that's going to pan out for Edwards, who's stalking the number 16 of Crapser here. I'm really impressed at how close these guys are together after 28 laps around a tough circuit. Showing no signs of slowing down, but who's going to make the least amount of mistakes here in the closing laps? Now we know both these competitors can make it till the end on fuel, as they both came in on lap 24. But just look how much time Edwards is able to gain using that draft on the backstretch. Really pulling his way right to the rear bumper of Crapser. Still running nose to tail. It looked like Edwards was hinting at going down low, decides against it. 6 laps left to go as they cross the line. Only about 12 minutes of racing left for these two competitors. And I am absolutely amazed at how smooth they're making it look in these street stock machines. Again, these are not terribly great oval cars. And these guys are putting them out on a road course for the one and only time this season to put on a show for all the fans. And listen to those tires absolutely working through the infield. Both drivers still nose to tail through the bus stop. Each driver trying to carry as much speed as they can down the final section of the NASCAR portion of the racetrack here. If and when are we going to see Edwards make a move? Or is he going to? Is he going to follow Crapser all the way through and just use the draft until the very end to try and make a last-ditch effort at the end? Now your two race leaders are teammates as well, both racing for Edgar's Devil Core Racing. So they may be able to be happy. Look at that. No, Edwards makes a move on the inside. He will take over the race lead. Let's take a quick look once more at the pass for the lead. I'm not sure if that was communicated or maybe Crapser went a little bit too deep through turn one. But that is going to put Edwards back out in front after qualifying on pole with his teammate Crapser running second. So we've got Devil Core running first and second with Fastlane running third with Dover and the number 17 machine. Now Dover is about 43 seconds back from your race leader, so don't think he's going to be in the contention unless for some crazy reason the two Devil Core Racing cars accidentally take each other out, in which case the team owner would be extremely displeased. So now that's going to put Crapser about 0.8 of a second back from Edwards. Was Edwards using that much draft around the high banking? Or was he possibly geared for more top speed and it was allowing him to catch up to Edwards? It's going to be tough to tell. Let's see if Crapser has anything to answer, as it looks to me like Edwards is going to extend that lead up to a second. We have McRae involved in an incident. Let's take a look. In the number 99 machine, I believe that's going to be going into the bus stop. Tags the outside wall and just unsettles the number 99 just enough. As look at the front brake rotors glowing. He stomps on the brake pedal, trying to get it slowed down in time. Your race leader is able to get around Tripp in the 116 machine with no problems. Tripp quickly yielding the line to the race leaders, not wanting to involve himself in an incident with somebody that he's not battling for a position for. Let's see if Crapser has anything for Edwards in the infield, because we know Edwards is fast on the banking. Really, you don't want to discredit him. I think Edwards is just fast everywhere. Crabs are able to gain about 0.2 of a second through the horseshoe going into turn 7. But let's watch Edwards, your race leader, who's been stretching his legs on the fast sections of racetrack. And if you watch the live timing on the top left hand of your screen, he is not losing a whole lot of time, even though Crapser is in the draft. Rex has a single car incident. Let's see if he gets that patented tail end loose coming out of 4. Yes, he does. We've seen it time and again tonight, striking drivers. Rex still running 9th on track, though, scoring some points for the team. I think I saw Billy and smoke coming from the pit road. Not quite sure who that was. Maybe blew up their engine. Only 3 laps left to go for our pro drivers. Still Edwards, Crapser, Dover, Baer, Turpin, your top 5. And Edwards has extended his lead to about 1.4 seconds. Ooh, steps it out just a little bit, the number 98 machine. Not sure that's going to allow Crapser to gain some time through the bus stop. Dover still running third in the number 17 machine. And a lot of drivers with some battle-worn cars here today. Edwards coming out of 7. He's about 2.2 seconds ahead of second place Crapser. He has been in a groove all night long and shows no signs of slowing down here. Absolutely hucking the number 98 Devil Core car through the bus stop. So again, it's Devil Core running first and second with Fast Lane running third. Fast Lane owned by Jeff Edgar, a late entry for the teams into the Pro Series late on in the season. But good to see one of their cars running in podium contention here today at Daytona. The white flag is out for the Pro Series at Daytona. Edwards with a 2.7 second advantage over Crapser. No sign of slowing down. Has been clicking off 2-minute flat lap times all night long. And in a race that was a little bit disastrous for a large portion of the field, Edwards, Crapser, Dover having the least amount of problems. They're going to be able to finish 1, 2, 3, barring any final lap issues, as Edwards takes it back out onto turn 2 of the NASCAR. He will go into the bus stop one final time, throw a hand out the window to the fans at home, and then he will bring home his very first pro season win. wicks it into the bus stop with style. And he will get through with no worries, coming out on a 3 and 4 for the final time. And put your hands together. Austin Edwards with his first Pro Series win has got to be ecstatic for the team. The number 98 machine sends it into turn 1 in style. Alex Krapser will bring home second, with Dover bringing home third here today. But well done to all the drivers. Some of the guys had a rough night, but they're able to bring it home here at the end. But it was Austin Edwards who qualified on pole, finished at the very top. And he is absolutely ecstatic right now. Edwards is going to take his victory lap in style. Again, a very well-deserved win here at Daytona. And Austin Edwards is going to burn it down in style on the number 98. And just like that, Edwards is going to get his very first pro debut win. As we're going to try and get these drivers into the waiting room for their interview. Up first, we're going to have Krapser joining us in the number 16 machine. You came out strong. You put it on the box. You've got to be happy. The team needed a ringer, and here you are, my friend.
Yeah, it definitely felt good to come in and drive Patrick Sullivan's car this week. A good track for me in Daytona Road that I've done pretty good at before in the street stock, so it felt pretty good to drive for the Devil Corps team and all those guys.
Now, Alex, we know you guys race week in and week out with each other. Did you expect to be that close to Edwards there at the end? It looked like you guys were going back and forth for a while, and then he was able to stretch away just a little bit at the end. But that was close racing for, 10, 15 laps.
Yeah, and racing with Austin, you can't screw up. And I mean, Austin was kind of just riding behind me, saving a little bit of fuel. I got a little bit in front of him based on fuel coming off the pit road. It's just kind of one of those deals where he was going to ride behind me until I messed up, and then he was just going to drive around me and pull away, and that's exactly what happened. But I can't be too mad at all with second. First time racing with you guys.
Well, very well done, my friend. Good, clean race out there from really most of you guys in the top five. It's a lot of fun to watch. Before I let you sign off and celebrate with the team, who would you like to give a shout out to that may be supporting you this season?
Just got to thank the whole team: Brett, Pat, John Friley, and Jeff. Got to thank Sim Speed Shop and just thanks to Matt Baer for helping me get into this ride for this week. I appreciate it.
Well, Alex, great job. Welcome to our big dysfunctional family, and hope to see you back up here in Victory Lane.
All right, thank you.
And up next, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to bring Matt Baer into the booth. Baer finishing fourth behind Dover, but Dover has a broken mic. But Matt, how did it go from your point of view in the number 19 machine?
I mean, it was fairly smooth, other than the one mess up I had there on like lap 4 or 5. Whenever I spun out and lost the leaders at that point. At that point, I knew I was basically just riding to survive and make sure I just hit my marks. And I went and made a couple phone calls this week and brung in the real Goon squad and showed everybody what's up. And we definitely put on a show tonight.
Yeah, it looked a lot of fun. Now we know there was a couple incidents early on in the race. Everybody was getting sorted. Did that race go cleaner than you thought it would, or what did you expect going into tonight at Daytona?
Road courses, you never know what you're going to get, man. You're either going to get patience or you're going to get people trying to push at the very beginning. And after it seemed like the first 3 or 4 laps, we had people pushing. I guess people didn't do enough testing this week to figure out what their limits were going into the chicane and everything. But after that, I had no issues with nothing after about lap 4 or 5. It was just smooth sailing, just hit your marks and let the cards fall where they be.
Well, great job out there, Matt. I know the entire team's got to be happy. Before we let you sign off, who would you like to give a shout out to that's sponsoring you and the number 19 machine this season?
Yeah, man, I just want to thank Brett Edgar, Jeff Edgar for them helping me get in the car this year, coming out and putting on a run. Hopefully, maybe put on a run for the title right here. I definitely want to thank the boys for coming in tonight and running with us. I know they had some fun. So thanks, Alex, and thanks, Austin and Luke as well, because he'd had a top three and been in here talking to you if he wouldn't have screwed up and got a penalty on pit road. But thank you for putting on these shows every week, man. I'm having a good time.
Well, Matt, always a blast. Good time talking to you. And once again, congratulations to you and the team.
Thank you, brother.
And up next, the man of the hour with his pro season debut, bringing home the win. Edwards, you've got to be pumped for yourself in Devil Core right now.
Oh, absolutely. I really enjoy the street stocks around this road course, and they had a pretty intense race trying to run away from Crapser and Turpin. But they brought to the best of the best of this race, so it's always fun to race with these guys, and super happy that I limited my stakes enough to come out on top.
Yeah, we know you guys race several times a week with each other, and again, it's the first time here at the Team Goon Squad Pro Series. Did you expect to be battling so close with Crapser later on in the race, or was that something you kind of expected with you guys running together so often?
I was fully expecting it. Crapser is quite the driver, and I think Turpin would have been up there too if he didn't have that pit road error. So those guys are class act racers. It's always fun races with them, like I said. But yeah, it was interesting after we got done with the pit stops, being right behind Crapser. I apparently wasn't saving fuel as well as he was, so came out right behind. And thankfully for me, he made a mistake in turn one, and it gave me just enough time to run away and bring home the win.
Now, Austin, these street stock machines, they're big, heavy, they're not particularly fast. How do you get used to that on a road course after driving predominantly ovals on them?
It's basically hold on for dear life. These cars, if you overshoot the corner by 2 inches, you are going to go flying off into the grass. So you've got to limit your wheel lockup and all that fun stuff. And overall, just be easy with the car. As fast as you are going in such a boat of a machine, you've got to be very meticulous with it and be careful where you set the tire weights to. So, it takes a lot of skill to do this kind of thing.
Well, Austin, well said. Welcome to our dysfunctional family. I know you and team owner Brett's got to be ecstatic. Before I let you sign off and go celebrate with the rest of the hooligans, who would you like to give a shout out to? Friends, family, sponsors. The floor is yours, my friend.
All the guys at Devil Core. I was just informed that I was going to be racing this a couple days ago, and guys are always very welcoming. Even in the other league I run, really great group of guys. So really glad we could bring some 2 points to them and another season win.
Well, congratulations again, Austin. Thank you again for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you later on.
All right, thank you, sir.
And that is going to do it for the Team Goon Squad Pro Series here at the virtual Daytona. It was Ben Dover, Alex Crapser, and Austin Edwards bringing home the top three in their season debut, scoring some points for both Devil Core and Fastline. It's been an absolute pleasure. A lot of great racing. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week for round 10 as the season starts rapidly coming to a close. Have a great night, everyone.